Hey, happy day. Let's talk about the pot calling the kettle black and how you can use that to grow and supersize and build your business. Now, the pot calling the kettle black is actually one of my favorite sayings for a lot of reasons, probably because a lot of times I've been the pot and the kettle and I've been blackened in both situations or in both examples, because the pot calling the kettle black, of course, means that when we judge and what we call out in other people, is often the thing that, or the fault that we have in ourselves. What we criticize in others is often something that we're guilty of as well. This expression has actually been around since the 1600s, when people hung pots and kettles together in the fire. And when you're exposed to an open flame, if you've ever been camping, you know that our camping pots always turn black. No matter what type pot they are, the bottom of them will turn black when they're exposed to an open flame. When we're exposed to things in our world and experiences, we often call out things in others that we are also guilty of. It's kind of like people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. We shouldn't necessarily call out in others what we don't necessarily want to look at in ourselves. This can really impact us when we're dealing with the competition, when we're talking about and working with the competition on things. It can show up. Do we really want to highlight all of their faults? Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, but not if we suffer from those same faults. A lot of times when you're calling out the competition in your same industry, there's practices that are across the whole board in your industry, and you can get yourself into trouble. It often leads to a price war to the bottom of your it also often leads to a race to the bottom, where you're competing on price, competing on guarantees and warranty times, when you're competing in areas that you don't necessarily want to compete in. It's always better to be yourself, be who you really are, and compete on your strengths and your genius zone than it is to compare yourself to other people. That's really common in our businesses, to compare ourselves to what we see as the competition. But the truth is, the only real competition is you being a better version of you, in terms of your company being a better version of your company. If you're continuing to grow and serve the people that you're working with better and better at all times, you don't have to compare yourself to the competition. And again, if you're calling out their customer service practices, their warranty practices, their delivery time, their prices, often you're going to be racing them and competing with them to the bottom, and nobody wins in that game. Learned that in several different industries, where if you're competing on price alone, you're going to probably lose. Unless you can be the lowest price in your industry, that's not what you want to call out. That's not what you want to be competing on. You know, have you ever experienced the pot calling the kettle black? I think of performance reviews and performance appraisals. The things that we call out and we notice in other people are maybe the things that we have troubles with ourselves. I remember early on in my career, I would notice when people had poor communication skills and poor listening skills. Well, that was because that was an area that I personally needed to improve in. I needed to get better at. I needed to get better at listening and paying attention and really understanding what people were communicating, understanding their body language. And so when I was doing performance reviews in my early career, I noticed that I was noticing those things in other people. Hey, when they didn't have really great communication skills, well, that was because I wanted to improve that in myself. So that's actually a trick for learning about yourself, is by noticing what you're noticing and judging in other people, because there's a reason that you're noticing that. Hello, wake up call. So whenever you're judging other people or other people's companies, look at your own company and say, are we guilty of that as well? Am I noticing that? Because that's something that we need to work on too. That's it. Go out, make it an awesome day. I've got to turn my camera around because my eyes look really wonky today. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow.